Friends, now we are going to learn consumption and investment functions. This is your fourth chapter in 12th standard economics. The theory of multiplier and the theory of accelerator are the two sides of the theory of fluctuations, just as the theory of demand and the theory of supply are the two sides of the theory of value. The full theory must be that which shows both sides in operation. This concept given by J.R. Hicks. Here we should know the meaning of multiplier. Multiplier means a person or thing that multiplies. The accelerator means a person or thing that causes something happen or develop. Learning objectives of this chapter are to study the basic concept in consumption and investment functions. Second, to impart knowledge on the working of multiplier, accelerator and super multiplier. Next we go for introduction. In the second chapter, we have seen the concept of national income, its measurement, importance and difficulties. The present chapter deals with consumption function and the investment function, which play a vital role in influencing national income. The primary macroeconomic objective is acceleration of growth of national income. We have already seen that national income comprises of consumption goods C and investment goods I. There is close correlation between investment and national income. The multiplier refers to the change in national income resulting from change in investment. The value of multiplier itself depends on consumption function or marginal propensity to consume. The consumption function is the relationship between consumption expenditure and the national income. The unspent portion of national income is called saving. Please underline what is saving means. We can write this. The unspent portion of national income is called saving, which becomes investment and thereby capital. The relationship between consumption expenditure and the capital expenditure is explained by the principle of accelerator. All these variables are closely interconnected. In this chapter, one can learn the consumption function, psychological law of consumption, investment function, multiplier, accelerator and super multiplier. Next, going to understand the concept of consumption function. The meaning of consumption function. Consumption function is nothing but the functional relationship between income and consumption or spending. The consumption function or propensity to consume refers to income consumption relationship. It is a functional relationship between two aggregates, viz. Total consumption and gross national income. Symbolically, it is expressed as C is equal to the function of Y. That is, consumption is a function of income, where consumption C refers to consumption, Y refers to income, F is function. This will be in 2-mark question, book back 2-mark question number 21, mark it. Thus, the consumption function indicates a functional relationship between C and Y, that is consumption and income, where C is the dependent variable and Y is the independent variable. So, income is the independent variable. What is independent variable here? Income is the independent variable. So, underline this will be in 1-mark question. That is, C is determined by Y. This relationship is based on the ceteris paribus, which means other things being same. What do you mean by ceteris paribus? Maybe in 1-mark question, underline. Assumption as only income consumption relationship is considered and all possible influences on consumption are held constant. In fact, consumption function is a schedule of the various amounts of consumption expenditure corresponding to different levels of income. A hypothetical consumption schedule is given in table 1. Look at the table. It explains the income consumption relationship. Here, the under income, the income level starts from 0. At 0 level of income, there is consumption takes place. Here the consumption is 20, saving is minus 20. Without income, if people consume means it refers to the autonomous consumption. People may consume from their past saving. If income is 60, consumption is 70. Here saving is minus 10. If income is 120, consumption also 120. Here the saving is 0. If income is 180, consumption will be 170. Here there is possibility of saving. They save 10% of their income. If income is 240, the consumption is 220. Saving is 20%. If income is 300, consumption is 270, saving is 30. Income is 360, consumption is 320, saving is 40%. If we take C is equal to 100 plus 0.85, then MPC is 0.8. The 0.8 indicates that only 80% of income spent on consumption, remaining 20% is for saving. People does not spend their entire income on consumption. Here, if y is 0, C is equal to 100. If y is 100, C is equal to 180. If y is 200, C is equal to 260. If y is 300, C is equal to 340. So the marginal propensity to consume is equal to delta C by delta y. It's equal to 0.8. Delta C indicates that changes in consumption. Delta Y indicates changes in income. In mathematical terms, C is equal to A plus B, by, or C is equal to 20 plus 0.8y, where A is greater than 0 and B is less than 1. C is equal to consumption, A is equal to constant or intercept equal to 20. Y is refers to income. B is MPC, marginal propensity to consume, equal to 0.8 is equal to delta C by Y. So it represents the changes in consumption is due to changes in income. The above table shows that consumption is an increasing function of income because consumption expenditure increases with increase in income. Here it is shown that when income is 0, people spend out of their past savings on consumption because they must eat in order to live. This is known as autonomous consumption. This will be in 2-mark question. What do you mean by autonomous consumption? People consume without any income is known as autonomous consumption. Look at the diagram. Here when y is equal to 120, C is equal to 120, point B is the diagram. When y is 180, C is 170, here saving is 10%. The point S in the diagram. At point B, income is 120, the consumption is 120. At point S, income is 180, consumption is 170. In the diagram, income is measured horizontally and consumption is measured in vertically. The x-axis represents income, y-axis represents consumption. In 45-degree line, at all levels, income and consumption are equal. It is a linear consumption function because on the assumption that consumption changes by the same amount as does income increases. Thus, the consumption function measures not only the amount spent on consumption but also the amount saved. This is because the propensity to save is merely the propensity not to consume. The 45-degree line may therefore be regarded as a zero saving line. And the shape and position of the C curve indicate the division of income between consumption and saving. Next, the technical attributes of the consumption function. The propensity to consume. The average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume. When total income is 40,000, the amount spent is 30,000. So average propensity to consume is 75%. And income increases to 10,000, it increase spend 2,500. The average propensity to consume. How can we calculate the average propensity to consume? We can use the formula C by Y. The marginal propensity to consume is delta C by delta Y. The average propensity to save is S by Y. The marginal propensity to save is delta S by delta Y. The average propensity to consume. The average propensity to consume is the ratio of consumption expenditure to any particular level of income. Algebraically, it may be expressed as APC is equal to C by Y, where C is consumption, Y is income. This will be in 2-mark question. Question number 23, mark it. The marginal propensity to consume. The marginal propensity to consume may be defined as the ratio of the change in the consumption to the change in income. Algebraically, it may be expressed as under MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. This also be in 2-mark question. Question number 24, where delta C is changes in consumption, delta Y change in income. MPC is positive but less than unity. 0 is less than delta C by delta Y and also less than 1. The average propensity to save. The average propensity to save is the ratio of saving to income. APS is the quotient obtained by dividing the total saving by the total income. In other words, it is the ratio of total saving to total income. It can be expressed algebraically in the form of equation as under APS is equal to S by Y, where S is equal to saving, Y is equal to income. Next going to learn the marginal propensity to save, that is MPS. Marginal propensity to save is the ratio of change in saving to a change in income. MPS is obtained by dividing change in saving by change in income. It can be expressed algebraically as MPS is equal to delta S by delta Y. Change in saving, delta Y indicates change in income. Since MPC plus MPS is equal to 1, MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC, and the MPC is equal to 1 minus MPS. This will be in 1-mark question. What is the formula for MPS and MPC? Note down. Generally, the average, that is APC, is expressed in percentage and the MPC in fraction. Table 2, calculation of APC, MPC and APS and MPS. Income, why? If income is 120, consumption is 120, APC in percentage, it is calculated by C multiplied by DC divided by Y. That is consumption is divided by income. 120 divided by 120 multiplied by 100 is equal to 100. APS, S divided by Y. That is 0 is divided by 120 multiplied by 0. MPC, delta C divided by delta Y. That is no values. Income, when income is 180, consumption is 170. So 170 is divided by 180 multiplied by 100 is equal to 94. And APS, 10 divided by 180. It is, yes, here saving is 10% and income is 180. So 10 is divided by 180. It will be multiplied by 100. And MPC, 50 divided by 60 is equal to 0.83. The MPS here, MPS is delta S by delta Y is 0.17. I hope you all understand about the concept of multiplier, accelerator, consumption function, average propensity to consume, marginal propensity to consume, marginal propensity to save and average propensity to save. Thank you, students.